Good morning,
Good morning.
members of the press, community, residents, and all who are present. My name is V. Jesse Smith. I'm president of the Antelope Valley NAACP, and I'm joined today at this press conference with a number of distinguished leaders, law enforcement, representative of elected officials, community residents, community activists, and people who are concerned about the brother and sisterhood of this community. We're here this morning to address the recent hate flyers that were circulated and prostrated in the streets of the cities of Lancaster and Palmdale last month and earlier this month. The NAACP has called this press conference today to say in no uncertain terms and say in no uncertain language that we will not allow these flyers to divide our community. These are the flyers to which I'm referring. Some of you may have seen them, some of you may not have seen them. But these flyers target African Americans in the Lancaster and the Palmdale community. These kind of flyers will not be tolerated. We have worked too hard in our community to come together as a united community to address issues of concern. Black, white, brown, red, and yellow, we're working together as a united front. And we're not going to allow anyone who desires to divide this unity to come between us. And so we've called this press conference today, not as an individual, not as one organization, but as organizations of a united front. As you will see today and you will hear from representatives of this community, that there will be people from organizations speaking from every aspect of this community. Why? Because we're united in one front. We've worked too hard and have labored too much and have dialogued too much to allow a flyer or any kind of racism to come to divide our community. And so today we come as one united front to say this kind of racism must stop. But we also come to reach out to the community to say that if you see individuals circulating or distributing flyers like this, it is our responsibility and our obligation as community residents to come forth and speak out against this kind of racism. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said that where evil exists is because people of goodwill have remained silent. It's now time for us to speak up as one united front, and we're not going to allow the weapons of hatred or racism to try to destroy us, but we're going to beat it down with the weapons of love and brotherhood. So I'm asking all of us to unite as one family. Today I'm going to ask Captain Don Ford from the Palmdale Sheriff Station to come and share a few words with you about what the Palmdale Sheriff Station is doing, and then I'll be asking a couple of organizations to come forth as well. I'm happy and honored that we've been able to work with the law enforcement in this community to address the issues of racism and discrimination, and we're working hand in hand to make sure that we stay as a united front and not allow any form of racism in any form or fashion to disrupt our unity. So at this time I'm going to ask Captain Ford and then Captain Nelson from the Lancaster Sheriff's Department to come forth and speak. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you, Jesse. For those of you that haven't heard, these hate flyers have been found on the streets of Palmdale and Lancaster, and they represent some of the worst that we see in this valley. But we wanted to point out that this valley is not about racism, it's not about hatred of any kind. For a valley of nearly 500,000 people, last year there were 17 reported hate crimes and hate incidents, and they range not just against race, but against sexual orientation, against religion, against other things. And that's why it's important we all stand together as a community and say no, because who hates against one today can hate against you tomorrow. And we want to make sure that we all stand together and that we address these things before hate incidents like this become crimes where people are hurt and property is damaged. What we'd like is anybody that has any information about these crimes to call either the Palmdale or the Lancaster Sheriff Station and report what information you have. So anybody that's willing to put out this kind of bile and viciousness could easily escalate from words to more serious deeds. We want to make sure that we identify the persons and try and stop this before it becomes something more serious than it already is. If you have any questions, you can call the Palmdale Sheriff Station or the Lancaster Sheriff Station. Lancaster is 948-8466 and Palmdale is 272-2400. We have assigned a special detective, Deputy Chris Keeley from our Hate Crimes Task Force, who will be investigating this, along with Detective Sullivan from the Lancaster Sheriff's Station. They do have some leads. What's important to note is that at this point, it's not a crime they're investigating, it's a hate incident. and our job is to try and stop it before it becomes an actual crime with vandalism or something else attached. Thank you.
Thank you. And we will entertain questions after the speakers. Captain F.
Good morning. It saddens me that we have to be here today. I honestly think that, along with Captain Ford, that this community has made great strides in coming together in recent months and years, and these kinds of incidents do not serve to continue that spirit of cooperation that we've all been enjoying in recent months. We will do everything we can to identify who's responsible for this. I would like to point out that the address that's mentioned in the flyers is a vacant home. So whoever is putting these out isn't actually calling anybody to that location other than to cause problems for that particular home for whatever reason. That's something that's part of the investigation. Again, we will do everything that we can. One of the unique things about the valley here is that the vast majority of members of the Sheriff's Department also call this valley their home. So we're all in this together, we understand that, and we're going to do everything we can to identify this individual and attempt to prevent any type of escalation in this incident. We have some excellent detectives working on it, including Detective Keeling, kind of hiding back there, and Detective Sullivan at Lancaster Station. This is something we've actually been working on because of the location, not so much the flyers, for a period of months now, because there's been some reported problems with those particular properties in the past. So as that investigation progressed, these flyers began appearing. We're certain that it's going to be the same individual that's causing the problems for those particular houses on 11th Street. So we're going to be working that, or continue to work that angle. And with that, I'll really sit back to Mr. Smith.
Thank you. At this time, I'm going to ask a representative from the Community Action League to come forth and say a few words. Mr. Nigel Holly.
Our community has come a long way in the last few years. And this press conference is about the unity that represents where we've come. These flyers, though they are somewhat aggravating, will not agitate the black community, nor should we allow it to agitate any other communities that we have in this valley. We've been fighting and striving for a long time. We've learned to work together, we've learned to build together, and we've even learned to cry together as a community. That's something that we cannot say throughout many other communities in this great United States, but in this community, we've already set the precedence for change. So these flyers are just a mere reflection of those who resist that change that we're going for. So as a united front, I stand with these representatives to let you know, our public, that we will not change, we will not falter, and we will continue to press forward in our mission to make this Antelope Valley a representative of what the entire United States could look like. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
This time, I'd like to have a representative from LULAC to come forth and speak. Javier?
My name is Javier Flores. I'm president of AVNewsCast. And when Jesse Smith of NAACP invited us to participate today to talk about unity and the fact that these kinds of actions on behalf of a minority of our community, when they take place, they have no place in our community. And he asked us to come over and show solidarity and support so that we can demonstrate and talk to the community and say, this will not divide us. This will not separate us. We will struggle and continue to struggle for unity. However, there is a problem that I see in the Antelope Valley, and I think it's one that needs to be addressed over and over and over again. And it's one about our leadership, our current leadership and our past leadership, and how the positions that they've taken actually help foment discrimination, help foment racism. And I'm not sure that they're aware of it, but as we progressed over the years, we've seen that in dialoguing about this and putting it out in the newspapers, there's been like a lifting of understanding, fomenting of understanding, if you will. And what it's shown me is the great need for dialogue. They're hearing from us only through letters to the editor that we submit to the newspapers. We've never sat down with them to discuss these issues and tell them our perspective, but we are sensing that just by the letters to the editor, they're getting a sense of how we perceive these issues, how we perceive their positions, how we believe they are hurting us. They're getting a sense for our perceptions finally. But look at how it's happening. It's happening in a very roundabout way. It's not direct like it needs to be. There needs to be more direct communication, more dialoguing between us so they can hear us clearly. And when we have talked to them on some occasions via the emails, they are still not listening. They still don't get it. So our effort is going to be arduous. It has been for years and years. Those of us who have been at the forefront of the struggle trying to bring communities together, we've noticed, we know that this is not easy. It's not an easy thing. But, you know, we're seeing individuals at the community level doing these types of actions, and we see a direct link between the statements and the actions that have been made by our elected leaders in the last 5 years and this. There isn't a distinction, even though their actions are much more subtle. Take, for example, the most current action of Palmdale City Council to deny Latinos and African Americans district elections. What does that tell us? And we're 70% of the Palmdale population. They think it's all nice and dandy, that all they're doing is protecting the interest of the city. They have hundreds of arguments for not doing it, including the fact that the whole issue was perpetrated by outsiders coming into a city they have no business coming into, et cetera, et cetera. All of that is superfluous and has nothing to do with the real issue of Latino and African American political voice. We need it. We want it. We should have it. The courts have indicated as much, and yet they're fighting it all the way. What message is that giving the rest of the community? How do they see us in their eyes? So we need to dialogue. We need to continue with our struggle to unify, but they need to listen. Thank you.
This time I'd like to call Darren Parker to come forward and say a few words.
Good morning.
Good morning.
As the longtime chairman of the Antelope Valley Human Relations Commission, I, like a few others, have witnessed firsthand the education of the community here in the Antelope Valley. And looking back over the last 2 decades, we've come a long way. So as I stand here today, it is a day of celebration. It's a day of celebration because, one, it was from the public that we heard about this plot. It's a day of celebration because, two, when we made the first call to city officials in Lancaster, my colleague and chairman of the Tapestry Commission immediately jumped on this issue, along with the Sheriff's Department. It is a day of celebration because here in the Antelope Valley, we, unlike other cities, have specific staff assigned to address hate crimes in the Antelope Valley. What a blessing it is to have Detective Keating, one of the founding members of the Human Relations Commission and Task Force, back in the Antelope Valley to investigate this, because this is home. But as we stand here collectively today, it is the message that we will never go back to where we were in the Antelope Valley, that the Antelope Valley is one of the most diverse places in all of California, if not in the country. And collectively, we have shown only good things that come from the Antelope Valley. So with your help and your support, with the public's awareness and knowledge and sensitivity to these issues, our good law enforcement officers will take care of this problem as we rectify other issues that would divide us here in the Antelope Valley. Thank you.
At this time, I'm going to ask a representative from the Tapestry Commission to come forward. Jean?
Hi, my name is Janine Militello, and I'm a member of the Tapestry Commission from Lancaster. I'm here today to say that this cannot be tolerated in our community. Like Mr. Parker, we have worked very hard, and we have seen the growth, and we have seen what happens when we work together, when we weave our differences together rather than tearing them apart. We can't allow this to continue. We have to show our children that we will not allow this in our community. We have to show them that this is not acceptable, that our community has worked too hard and too long for this kind of, it just breaks my heart that this is here. And if anybody knows anything, please call and say something. Stand up and be accounted. Thank you.
Finally, I'd like to call Bishop Henry Hearns to come and say a few words. Bishop? Oh, thank you, Bishop.
Thank you, Chairman Smith. We appreciate it. And I thank all of you for being here today. But as one of the older dudes in the community, for almost 50 years now, coming up on 50 years that I've been here. So we've come from somewhere, we've been somewhere, and we are going somewhere. And nothing is going to stop us from going somewhere. Because we have the power to do it.
Come on.
The power of God, who will always stand for that which is right. And when we look around and find black, white, brown, yellow, all together for the common good of one, we know that we will not be divided.
That's right.
Now, I'll give you this little example that when I was first elected at the City Council of Lancaster, I had a phone call one morning, and this guy said, and this would have been in '92, I think, and they said, "Sir, we will not have a nigger to be the mayor of our town, so between now and sundown, you will be dead." And I said to him, "I love you, goodbye."
Hallelujah.
And that was in '92, and I'm still here.
All right.
So we know that we have the power of God. We know we have the power of the law. We know that we have the power of each other, and therefore victory is ours. God bless you.
Hallelujah.
This time I want to call a representative from Congressman Buck McKeon's office, Mr. Morris Thomas. Come forward.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Morris Thomas. I'm the district director for Congressman Buck McKeon. When the congressman first heard about this, I think we heard about it Thursday or Friday, he called, was on his way to Washington, and said since he can't be here, he didn't want a field rep, he didn't want anybody else but me to personally get here to deliver the message, that he vigorously condemns any racist conduct of this type or divisive conduct. Everybody here has already spoken to how far we have already come in the Antelope Valley, and he has no intention of seeing us move backwards, but as the bishop has said, it is time for us to move forward. We have enough challenges in the Antelope Valley that we need to overcome, and we need to overcome together as a community. And so we need to address those concerns, and things like this should not be around to divide us or divert us from the things that we need to do. He wants to make it clear that the community has all of his support in any way that is necessary, and that the law enforcement has all of his support in any way that's necessary. His heart goes out to all of us that have been affected by this, and he stands by to do whatever he can. Thank you very much.
Two more speakers. I want to call Ms. Gwen Cole from High Dacity to come and say a few words. Ms. Gwen?
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning.
As a leader and also a resident of the Antelope Valley for the last 25 years, it saddens me today that in 2014, in one of the most privileged nations in this country, that we still have to deal with this type of situation. However, be that as it may, We know that we've had many struggles, we have many to come, and there has only been one thing that has continued to get us over these obstacles, and that is love. So I challenge you not to get angry, not to go out and do something silly, even if you do know who has started this type of rhetoric, but to show love and to continue, because it's obvious that these individuals are blind. It is obvious that they lack something inside themselves, that they have to put this type of rhetoric out about anyone. This in no way describes any individual, that any parent, any child that I deal with on a weekly, daily, monthly basis. Does it describe anyone of all races in any shape or form? So I challenge you that only love can drive out hate. Only love can speak to hate. Only love can conquer hate. So I challenge you inside yourselves. I could choose to get angry. I choose not to. I could choose to go out and do something silly. I choose not to. We have children that we still have to cultivate in this valley. You have many adults back here and leaders that have been here a long time, and their arms of love spread out through this entire valley. And we will continue to do that. We're a united front. Let them know that. I speak to the cameras. We are a united front as a community, as a whole race, as a human race. And we will continue to support the NAACP. And I thank Mr. Jesse Smith for calling this press conference to let our community know we will continue to love. I decree it, and I challenge you, continue to love.
Amen.
Y'all didn't go to church on Sunday, y'all just went to church. Let me bring our last speaker on, and then after the last speaker, we'll be happy to entertain any questions. I want to bring on a representative from the Nation of Islam, Mr. Stan Muhammad, to come.
First, giving honor to God, of course, all the time. We want to thank the leadership of the NAACP for calling this press conference. I think it's very important for us not to get too alarmed as it relates to this here. It's not really a coincidence that we see this. We know that there's stuff that's happening in Antelope Valley, and it's been happening for many years, that we now have to address. And with this bold leadership that's standing behind me, I think we have what it takes to address these type of issues. Unfortunately, we're coming out behind this, but my challenge is that we begin to organize and mobilize like never before, and that we begin to pay close attention to our young people here in the Antelope Valley that's suffering beyond measure. And I think with this leadership that we have here, we can use this as a catalyst to begin to mobilize and organize our communities behind black, behind brown, behind white, or whatever color you want to call yourself. The brother called himself a green man. So we can even organize behind the green folks as well. With that being said, I want to thank the NAACP and the Nation of Islam stand firm in solidarity with our leadership here in Antelope Valley. Thank you very much.
If they ask questions, directing it to you. Okay. At this time, we'll open it up for questions, and it'll be about maybe two or 3 minutes. Everyone here is happy to answer any questions offline if we're not able to answer the questions during this press conference, okay? Yes, sir.
This is more than just a question.
What I would ask first, brother, before you say your questions, just introduce yourself. If you're with an organization, let us know.
My name is Philip Waterman. I represent the Museum in Black. I'm a martial art instructor at the same time, but at the same time, I like to direct, as an African American, with love,
yes, sir.
No bitterness, but when I look out here, if this was any other culture, this parking lot would be full. If it was military or federal or government, whatever, it would be full. And I'd just like to speak out as an African American to the ones that's hiding in their comfort zone in their homes, that they come out and support this,
yes, sir.
as a people.
Yes, sir.
Because that's our apartheid, division, as an African American. And that's what I see.
Yes,
We are our worst enemy. And that's what bothers me.
Yes, sir.
And so I'm through.
Thank you so much for your comment, brother. I appreciate it. Thank you. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Claudia. I'm from the Antelope Valley Press. I was actually a question directed to Captain Don Ford. You mentioned that some of the flyers were found in Palmdale.
Yes.
Is there a specific area where they were found? I know in Lancaster, they were found around the Lancaster
Around
Boulevard, 10th Street West
9th
area.
Street East and Q4 is the area.
9th Street
And they were
East.
just found flying loose in the street. They weren't directed towards anybody's particular home or anything like that. They were found laying about the street.
How long ago were they found, those specific flyers?
Let me check and give you the exact date. They weren't reported to us till after the first Antelope Valley Press. People had found them and they hadn't even bothered to report it. And that's one of the reasons we think it's important to speak out, to bring light to the subject so that people do report when we have incidents. The 23rd of December is when they were actually found.
Is there another question over here?
Yeah, I'm Elizabeth Work. I work for the Union AV High School District, and I was wondering, are you going to be doing anything, any kind of presentations at the high schools for our young adults?
The Sheriff's Department does have the Share Tolerance program where we go to the various high schools. I think they've been to every high school in the valley, and they continue to make the rounds, but they also go countywide. It's specifically directed toward teaching tolerance to those that are different from yourself.
Do you have anything planned for 2014 school year?
They do have several appearances. I'm not sure the exact schedule, but we do have several appearances scheduled.
You're
Yes.
from Lancaster?
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
And you represent, you're representative from what organization? Museum of in Black, is that what it's called?
So the question is, what is
What are
the?
you guys doing to actually keep track on what person did that?
I'm not sure. You mean to just try to locate them?
Yeah, like maybe you could go on the computer and see like the JPG format to see like.
Well, because these were printed out, they weren't sent electronically, so we don't have access to some of those markers that would normally trail behind an email or a Twitter account or something like that. These were hard copies printed on regular 8.5 by 11 paper. The detectives are looking at, but they're working some other angles that I'm not prepared to discuss. Their investigative techniques because we don't want to scare off whoever's doing it. We don't want them to know exactly what they're doing.
Maybe you could ask like the copy paper, like the people that make copies, if anybody is in there suspicious, probably copies.
That has been done.
Thank you for your question. Yes, ma'am. You and then you and then. Yes, ma'am. Go right ahead. Yes.
Thank you. Linda Williams, I'm a neighborhood watch club captain and CDC member with the Sheriff's Department. This is more of a statement, especially for you guys. I'm just hoping and wondering some of the things that get put out in the paper, all for free speech. But a lot of times, unless, even though it's in the opinion poll and everybody has one, everybody's allowed to have one, a lot of the statements that are printed with underlining bigotry, I think a lot of times when people say racism, they think, well, I don't want them dead, but there's bigotry and prejudice. Does not per se mean racism as far as a lot of people think. But some of the things that are written as far as how the articles are presented, how the questions are asked, how when people put their opinions and they say the reason that we are having tolerance is because 80% of African American women have out of wedlock births. I would hope that someone, and you don't have to censor, but I would hope that someone, as you're putting your opinion, can come along and give a couple little editor's notes of actual facts, right, wrong, or indifferent. We don't have to agree with them, we don't have to like them. But if I'm already a person who wants to hold on to hatred, prejudice, bigotry, discrimination, or whatever I feel when I say I'm losing my country, this stolen country that we have, I am hoping that the NAACP, other members up here, can put a little pressure on the AV press and other places that are putting out misinformation and misleading information. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you. We'll take two more questions.
Hallelujah, everyone. Happy New Year, first of all. My question is, my name is King Malachi. My question is, what will happen next? After we have these press conferences and these meetings about these things, what is our next step as the NAACP and as a community?
Thank you for that question, the spirit in which you've asked that question. The next step, we're asking anybody who see information that has these kind of flyers out to, notify the NAACP. Our number again is 661-222-8144. The second thing is, please attend our meetings. We meet every third Wednesday of the month. At these meetings is where we begin to discuss how we go about addressing these issues. We've had a number of workshops dealing with race, dealing with how to interact with law enforcement in the community. At this time, it's about reaching out to the community, letting the community know, one, the NAACP is here to address any complaints of racism. If you know of a complaint or if you have a complaint, please call our office so that we can register it. And what will happen is that we then go out and investigate it. And if we need to file lawsuits, then we can connect with our attorneys in Washington, D.C. But the best way to address issues like this right now is to get involved. Become a member of the NAACP, come to the meetings, and you'll find out what's going on and what the next steps are.
And also, you were talking about love. I think that we should start to put up posters about love, just like they put up these hate posters. All of us have access to libraries, and I'm sure that people have print machines at their homes. If you all can, I know that most of you all are willing, please put up posters about love, about every race and every person and all the people of our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. This will be the last question.
Where are the meetings held?
The NAACP meetings are held at the Shimboli Center in Palmdale at 6:30 p.m. every third Wednesday of the month.
Okay. May I make one statement?
Yes, ma'am.
Our ancestors came to this country because of what our forefathers wrote. One simple sentence. And that's all men are created equal. It's up to us to teach our children that we all have to make this a truism and keep it as a truism.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for attending today. If you wish to speak with anyone here, by all means, I'm sure they'll be happy to talk with you. Again, thank you so much.